Hi everyone. I've recently done some research into target acquisition in Destiny, and I just wanted to put all of that research into this video so that we can try and work towards a better understanding of the stat in general. I am going to do my best here to keep this video as concise and respectful of your time as possible, but just know that there are some things that I'm going to have to take the time to explain because my testing got a little bit technical and I want to make sure that the video is clear. Before I get started, I just want to say that I'm going to be treating target acquisition and aim assist as the same stat. Now, it's still somewhat inconclusive if this is actually the case. Target acquisition is the name of the stat used in-game, and aim assist is used in the Bungie API, but most people use these terms interchangeably. So in this video, I'm going to be using the sniper rifle and hand cannon to test target acquisition. And I'm going to be testing the reticule slowdown or stickiness, which is the amount that the reticule slows down when moving towards and near enemy units. And I'm also going to be testing the bullet magnetism, which is the amount that bullets are attracted towards enemy targets. Also, it's worth it to mention that all of this footage was recorded before patch 2.0. So the weapons might behave slightly differently now after 2.0 hits, but I think I've found some pretty convincing results here that should carry over into year 2. Okay, so first let's take a look at the tests for reticule slowdown or stickiness. So I'm just going to show you the footage that I used to analyze for my testing, and I'm just going to set the footage side by side so that you can compare. If you want to do a precise comparison, you might have to pause the video and scrub through. But I am going to have some graphs at the end that'll show the general results of my tests. To compare target acquisition in hand cannons, I used Hawkmoon, which has one of the lowest aim assist values in hand cannons, and the Red Hand 9, which has one of the highest. And the Red Hand 9 that I'm using also has Hidden Hand on it, so it has one of the highest target acquisition values that a hand cannon can get. So what I did for the stickiness tests, just so you know that I'm not pulling these numbers out of nowhere, as much as possible I tried to only vertically swipe across the target. Then I imported the footage into Adobe After Effects and used motion tracking to track the movement of the background. My hypothesis is that if target acquisition affects the reticule slowdown or stickiness, that we should see that a higher target acquisition weapon will have a lower speed throughout the swipe, or at least when it's near the enemy unit. And the speed value that you're seeing on the screen is just the speed that the motion tracker is moving over the course of the frame. And I just made the graphs at the end by screenshotting the speed graphs from After Effects and then averaging them together. Okay, so let's take a look at the graphs that I made of the results. I think more than anything, the graphs show that there's no discernible difference between the two. In some situations, one hand cannon might be faster or slower than the other, but neither one seems to be consistently on top. Remember that these graphs just show the averages. The actual graphs look pretty volatile. Here's what one of the actual speed graphs looks like with the averages superimposed on top of it. I think you'll agree that any differences in speed that appear to be occurring are well within the margin of error for the test. So let's take a look at the sniper rifle slowdown or stickiness test. I'm pretty much doing the same test here, and once again I'm going to put the footage side by side. The main difference here is that I actually used the exact same sniper rifle, her Benevolence, but one of them had Hidden Hand and one did not. So for the sniper rifles, I'm really just testing the perk Hidden Hand to see if it gives enough target acquisition to be discernible. And I'm just going to actually show you the After Effects speed graphs here, because I think this one is obvious enough without creating an average. The first graph shows all the speed values for the Hidden Hand all laid on top of each other. And I'm going to superimpose on top of that the speed data from the rifle without Hidden Hand, or the base stats rifle. And I think it's pretty obvious that the points line up almost exactly. So it seems to me between these two tests that target acquisition has no effect on reticule slowdown or stickiness. To test bullet magnetism, I once again pulled in the footage to Adobe After Effects, and this time I stabilized the footage, and then I drew a green mark from the origin point of the bullet at the reticule to the point of impact. And the number in the box labeled amount of deflection is just the length of that line. Since the distance between the reticule and the point of impact can be pretty small, I'll give you a quick example of my process. So what I do is mark the reticule on the frame right before the shot occurs, so right here on this frame. And then I go forward a couple of frames and mark the point that I can best tell is the point of impact. And on this frame, I used this bullet trail here. And sometimes I'll look for where the bullet impacts the wall or surrounding terrain or even the enemy itself. But since this is a sniper rifle, the bullet trail is really easy to see. Here's some of the footage that I analyzed for the two sniper rifles side by side. And I'm still using the same sniper rifles, one with hidden hand and one without. And at the end of the bullet magnetism tests, I will again have the results in numbers. And for this sniper rifle test, I'm not testing multiple ranges since the two sniper rifles have the same range value. I'm just shooting from a fixed distance. When I was analyzing the footage, it became increasingly apparent that the rifle with hidden hand consistently had more bullet magnetism than the rifle without. The results of this test were a little bit surprising to me. I had never really noticed a significant effect from hidden hand on a sniper rifle, but the results were somewhere between a 30 and 50% increase in the amount of bullet magnetism between a rifle with no hidden hand and a rifle with hidden hand. Now bear in mind that this is a rather high zoom scope, so the actual amount that this bullet is deflecting is pretty tiny, but still an increase of 30 to 50% is pretty significant. For the most part, the hand cannon test is identical to the sniper test for bullet magnetism. Once again, I used Hawkmoon and the Red Hand 9 for this hand cannon test, and I tested the bullet magnetism at various ranges. With the hand cannons on bullet magnetism, I wasn't able to get results that were quite as consistent as the sniper rifles, but I don't think this test is conclusive by any means, providing us with the exact values for bullet magnetism for these guns, but what I do think it does is provide us with a general trend for if and how target acquisition affects bullet magnetism. Okay, so these results might seem a little bit confusing at first. The short range makes sense. The Red Hand 9 has a higher amount of bullet magnetism than Hawkmoon, but the mid and long ranges are odd. With the Red Hand 9 and Hawkmoon having the same amount of bullet magnetism, or maybe even Hawkmoon having more magnetism. Is it just errors in testing? Possibly, but actually I would suggest that these values are correct, and Hawkmoon actually does have a greater bullet magnetism at long range, and Red Hand 9 has a greater bullet magnetism at short range. And the reason that's my hypothesis is because of some of the explanation that went along with the 2.0 patch notes. Right at the beginning of the Bungie update about weapon balancing in 2.0, in the section on auto rifles, it just briefly mentions this, but I'm just going to read a couple of sentences here. With 2.0.0, our sandbox programmers have granted the ability to independently tune range and damage fall-off. This allows us to emphasize optimal combat range without violating some of the more intricate aiming systems that are tied into the range stat. So, what intricate aiming systems are tied into the range stat? Before this update, I had assumed that range and damage falloff were synonymous. I thought that there was nothing more to the range stat than damage falloff. My first thought on reading vague language about intricate aiming systems being tied into a range stat was target acquisition, or aim assist. So what the wording here is suggesting to me is range controls multiple kinds of fall off, and one of those is damage fall off, but another is target acquisition or aim assist fall off. And the results of the test seem to validate this theory as well. So even though Hawkmoon has a lower aim assist value than the Red Hand 9, it also has a much higher range. So it's going to keep more of its aim assist values at longer ranges. So at longer ranges, it can even surpass the Red Hand 9's aim assist. What this means is that target acquisition or aim assist does seem to affect the bullet magnetism, but it also has a weight or a fall off that's determined by the range stat. So a really low range hand cannon like the Red Hand 9 isn't necessarily able to take full advantage of its aim assist. That doesn't mean that aim assist is worthless. It just means that if you want to roll for aim assist, you have to also be mindful of range. I also want to briefly mention that high amounts of aim assist can produce some unpredictable results. There were a number of instances, while I was recording footage for this video, that the aim assist deflected bullets in an unexpected direction. Sometimes into the body of an enemy, and sometimes the bullet looked like it should have hit, but didn't. Things like that. So I think especially for certain weapon types that target acquisition has more of an effect on, it might be necessary to find some sort of a happy medium rather than going all in to target acquisition. So hopefully this video was helpful in getting us a better idea of hidden hand, aim assist, and target acquisition. By no means is this exhaustive, especially in the area of testing target acquisition at various ranges to test the influence of the range statistic. That area could use some more trials. I didn't get the best data there. So maybe somebody else will contribute some more experiments there. If anybody is interested in the specifics of my methods, I'm more than willing to share them. I just didn't want to go into specific detail in this video just in the interest of time. It's already getting pretty long. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully this improves our understanding of target acquisition in Destiny.